So, I just saw Marvel Studios' Werewolf by Night, which is, in my honest opinion, the best thing Marvel Phase 4 has pretty much put out. Phase 4 has been nothing but a disappointment. It really is the definition of quantity over quality. A lot of the MCU stuff as of late has been very, very, very pretty much just a miss, has just been all over the place. It's not as cohesive as I want it to be with them trying to set up this multiverse narrative, but they don't really commit to that as everything else that has the multiverse just has its own kind of set of rules. So I don't really know where they're going with that. But to say that Werewolf by Night, a less than an hour long special short, so really just a TV movie, it's some of the best I think Marvel has put out since pretty much Endgame, is saying a lot. So Werewolf by Night is directed by Michael Giacchino, who most of you may know is a composer for Marvel. He's done pretty much a lot of he's done the most recent, the Spider-Man trilogy. He did the first Doctor Strange. He composes the Marvel Studios logo. He's also well known for working with Brad Bird on The Incredibles, alongside of working pretty much in the industry. He's somewhat of a giant. So to see him kind of take on his first directorial debut is really interesting. And I gotta say, Michael Giacchino knocked it out of the water. He is by and large just a fan of the old Universal classics, and this movie is nothing more than an homage. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's actually pretty good, and there's a lot to come from that. But to say, arguably, I think Marvel Phase 4 has definitely been, in my personal opinion, it hasn't exactly been the best. And seeing someone take something and pretty much doing something completely different and taking it on its own, it's really refreshing, especially since we've just been getting nothing but just teaser after teaser for the next project, and there doesn't seem to be anything doing its own. Werewolf by Night follows Jack Russell, a hunter who is invited to the ceremonial funeral, I guess you could say, of Ulysses Bloodstone, a man who is auctioning off, or pretty much is trying to give off his one of his powers, being the Bloodstone, off to a successor, those who can kill a creature that Ulysses himself captured. And yeah, it's pretty much him and several other hunters against this creature, those who survive the night. But there's a twist. The twist being that Jack Russell himself is a werewolf, and he finds himself on all sorts of adventures, pretty much going up against the other hunters, alongside teaming up with the spawn of Ulysses Bloodstone herself, Elsa Bloodstone, who I only vaguely know from like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. I don't really know much about Werewolf by Night or the character himself. I just, again, only know about this character because I started watching this movie. But to say that this is Marvel's first official horror movie, and I know many are gonna want to reclaim that Multiverse of Madness is a multiverse movie. I mean, it's a horror movie, but not a multiverse movie, or whatever the hell Multiverse of Madness is. Yeah. Multiverse of Madness is not a horror movie. It is a multiverse movie, but it's a poor one at that as well. I would like to talk about that movie in greater detail and length. I know when I first saw it, I gave it a kind of a glowing review, but despite that, I've just not been a big fan of that movie on subsequent reviews. Yeah, Werewolf by Night, it's a really good movie. It's a short, can't really call it a movie. And it's disappointing because I think in Phase 4, we have just been getting projects that just feel lazier, sloppier, and frankly, in my opinion, a lot less engaging. Again, the whole concept of quantity over quality in MCU has been nothing but quantity. I was really excited for Eternals earlier this year, or last year, and that turned out to be an okay movie. I still think it's honestly one of the better MCU movies we've gotten so far, but definitely slightly disappointed with MCU Phase 4, but hopefully this opens the floodgates for Marvel to take on more riskier projects. And for this being a Halloween project, I definitely think it's one of the more interesting ones. It definitely utilizes horror, suspense, mystery, intrigue, but it also utilizes the hero formula and the comic book formula. And I gotta say, this is shot beautifully. I won't go into details about how it's shot or pretty much what this entails, but if you're a fan of the Universal Classics, again, this is an homage in a way that breathes fresh air into the MCU, something that we haven't seen. The action is actually pretty visceral. Holy shit. The violence in this movie is gory as fuck. I mean, you see blood. Obviously, you don't see it in its original red format because this is a TV-14 special that is masking the gorier aspects behind the black and white color palette. Obviously, that is a stylistic choice to be reminiscent of the movies of yesteryear. But yeah, overall, just definitely enjoyed Werewolf by Night. I definitely think it's the more interesting stuff. I would like to see these characters kind of tackled on upon alongside Elsa, you know, Jack Russell, and again Swamp Thing. Although they call him something else, I don't know if they. I mean, Man Thing. I don't know if they can't use that name or not because I know Marvel has a lot of issues with their comic book rights, but that's another issue for another day. But definitely recommend checking out Werewolf by Night. It definitely is the best of MCU Phase 4. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see you guys on the next one.